Liberia.
Politics, entertainment, news, and business. And this is KMTV. We are on your screen, we are everywhere. The best online Liberian platform you have. Make the best use of it. My name is Frank Adams, and I endorse this channel.
KMTV. KMTV. Legacy. Communications. Bringing the world closer to you. Liberia, Africa, and beyond. We are everywhere. From the cities to the towns, from the villages around, we bring the stories every day, keeping you informed all the way. News and sports, culture too, entertainment made for you. A trusted voice across the land. Legacy Communications takes a stand. So turn it on, don't miss a thing. Hear the voices, hear them sing. Together we're connecting lives, keeping hope and dreams alive. KMTV, KMTV, your voice, your vision on TV. Legacy Communications leads the way, informing and inspiring every day. KMTV, KMTV, the station for your family, from near and far across the nation, where your trusted communication.
In the absence of that, adequate reconciliation and reporting of revenue will be impaired. So we have recommended that going forward, these accounts should be closed, consistent with the Public Financial Management Act. There were a couple of bank statements and mobile money statements that we did not receive for audit purposes. There is a possibility that the absence of some of these statements that were not received may have resulted into the magnitude of some of the variances that we reported. I was happy that the Commissioner General of the LRA have reported that we have collected some of these statements and we will be looking at them during our audit follow-up processes. There were also excessive bank charges that we observed at some of the commercial banks. We summarized this in our report, but for each of the years, they are clearly documented. Now, each of these bank accounts should carry a bank charge of, I believe, $20 United States dollars on a monthly basis, and then consistent with the MOU. Now, we observed that the commercial banks were charging some additional charges which were not captured in the MOU. Some charges related to e-banking, some charges not particularly specified were being recorded in the bank statement. Now, what we want is the banks, as part of signing the memorandum of understanding, should be comprehensively clear about all of those charges that are due to be collected at the end of the month, and all of those charges should be captured in the MOU. Because when we are auditing, we audit strictly based on the law and the related legal frameworks that are made available to us for audit purposes. So going forward, we want the commercial banks to capture all of these different charges in the MOU so that facilitating full compliance with the MOU can be harnessed. There were a number of also IT issues which we did not report for reasons best known for protecting the system. These issues were reported to the Public Accounts Committee of the Legislature, and we will also follow up on the implementation of these issues. So this is a summary. So this is a summary of our total findings, Mr. Chair and members of the Public Accounts Committee. We look forward to interacting with the different stakeholders here to ensure that we are able to provide further clarification on some of the issues that have been identified. But even more so, we look forward to speeding implementation of the other recommendations that have been raised and subsequent accountability of funds that we have been misappropriated in the process. Thank you.
Okay, we want to say thank you, Mr. Auditor General. On this memo, we can all refer to the high table for any questions that will be necessary.
Today, folks, would like to say welcome. If you're just joining us, is on the Liberia Senate official Facebook page, live here from the chambers of the Honorable House of Representatives, folks. You listen to the Auditor General giving his report there, folks. We'd like to say welcome if you just join us on the Liberia Senate official Facebook page, folks. This is the PSC hearing, public account and audit committee hearing here, folks. Stick still with us. As a matter of fact, Senator Amar Cohen is the chair on PSC at the Liberia Senate. For this joint hearing, he's the chair. Honorable Clarence G. Guy is the chair for this joint hearing. Government officials from various banking sectors, financial institutions as well are here. Former government officials are also here. You may be wondering why the former finance minister is here along with the former controller of finance. All of them, they are here as well. Wherever you are joining us, we'd like to say welcome. Just view the full report from the head of GSC, the General Auditing Commission, Honorable P. Gaswa.
Okay, we want to say thank you to the Auditor General, distinguished colleagues from the Senate, members from the House and the Joint Committee. We have listened and carefully watched the presentations of the Auditor General of the Republic of Liberia. Is there any observation or questions that any member need to raise? Please direct it to me, and then we'll get started. So while the members are checking, let me quickly ask the Commissioner of the Liberia Revenue Authority. Mr. Commissioner, for the records, I partly read portions of your opening statement and carefully listened to when you were reading. I come in before you add the can you please clearly explain the Asikuda, the TAS to the revenue, to the general revenue accounts? We want to link to know why there are discrepancies between the three, and more especially if there's a discrepancy between the TAS, the Tax Administrative System, and the general revenue account. What will be turned out?
Thank you, Honorable The key issue we have is the lack of integration.
Yeah, that is correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So the key issue is the lack of integration between the systems. When the systems were deployed,
Please use the microphone.
when the system is okay,
Yeah.
the key issue is actually an integration of the systems. When each of those systems were deployed, they were deployed in silos and they're not interconnected. This has been our age-old problem. So, for instance, the TAS is the reporting back-end for all revenues that are collected. The LITAS is the system that is used to collect taxes in general. And then those information, when the TAS collects, it filters into the reporting system. When the LITAS collects, it filters into the TAS. The ASACUDA also is used for is the custom systems. When collections are made in those systems, it is then in the ASACUDA system, it is then pushed. This is what had to happen. In fact, until we complete the upgrade we are currently doing, it has to be manually pushed, like copied and transferred, through use of external devices to push to the reporting system. So this is why we've had all these things. And then also, like I mentioned, you heard the Auditor General mention, some of the transactions, because we have locations around the country, due to our connectivity challenges as a country, we have now rolled out these systems in those places around the country. And power issue is also a limitation. So monies will be collected from those places and then they'll be posted in bulk. So these are some of the reasons that have contributed to the problems that we're seeing today. But like I was mentioning in my statement, we've actually gone a long way off from 2024 to now, because we've now acquired technology and we've rolled out connectivity to most of our remote locations, and we've deployed the ASACUDA system as well as the LITA system in places in remote locations. Yeah, one more thing.
Commissioner. The question here is, if there's a discrepancy between the ASACUDA and now the TAS, can you say that there was a issue of reconciliation, non-payment, or there was a foul play between them?
Well, I wouldn't want to call anything foul play for
No,
now.
I know the question I'm asking. I'm directly going to a particular place, but I want to take it step by step before going to where I want to lie.
Okay, so several factors could contribute to discrepancies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because when systems are manual generally, they lend themselves to a lot of errors, inefficiencies, carelessness, and all of that. But then also foul play is a likely possibility. But there's no way to tell now categorically unless in-depth investigations are done.
So then the next question leads to, if there's a discrepancy between the transitory accounts, the TAS and the general revenue account, is that carelessness or foul play?
It's difficult to categorically say that unless you do a deeper dive. Because let's, for instance, look at some of the issues that the Auditor General highlighted with the transitory account. When the transitory accounts collect, a typical banks would do tens, if not hundreds of transactions in revenue collection. When they're posting that, they post a single credit to the general revenue account. And because we don't have the technological systems to decipher what our bulk amount is.
No, Mr. Commissioner. Let's assume that every day, let's take one bank, every day a bank sweep 1.5 million, 1.5 million, 1.5 million, 1.5 million. 6 days a week is $9 million. But then the THS is recognizing the 9 million, but in the general revenue account, it's not accounting for the 9 million. Maybe it's accounting for 6 million. So how do we, again, I say, maybe a bank sweep throughout a week, $9 million a bank statement showing that $9 million was swept to the general revenue account. Your TAS is indicating that $9 million was generated by NYC Bank, but the general revenue account is only accounting for $6 million. As a commissioner for revenue.
So, Honorable, that is exactly the discrepancy that we observed when we went and requested the GSC to do this
So the
audit.
question is there a fair play between the accounts?
No, I can't say categorically because it requires further investigation, Honorable. And this is why the first step is to have auditors go in and establish what are the factual basis, and then we can go from there.
So,
and this is what this report has done for us.
So the auditor has established again. I want to draw you back. You are there in the legislature for a few days now, 9 years, 8 going to 9 years. There was time the LRA were reporting figure when the finance ministry were denying that figure. Now, revenue in any of the transitory account or records in the transitory account are money meant for government. Records recognized by the transitory TAS are, we can say, 90% revenue paid. Now, if the general revenue, the LRA is reporting, for example, 750 million generated by a record, and the finance minister is saying no, it's 680 million. You are talking about 70 million. They are now to say there were bill raised by Ascuria that maybe it was not paid, it was canceled, the shipment was deferred. No. We are saying into those transitory accounts, the TS and that the general revenue account is nothing to niche on or to beautify. We want a definite answer. If there's a discrepancy between the transitory account, the TAS, and now the general revenue account, how do we call that? Is it a carelessness or what?
Honorable, I beg you, the systems are complex. And actually, let's take a critical depth and look at the system as a whole. Let me give you one example. When I tell you, say, it needs to be looked at deeper. There are some transitory accounts that have associated with them revenue sharing arrangements. So there's a third-party service provider that provides services to the government. And in the MOU, they are required to extract, the bank is required to remit their share of the revenue. When we are reporting in the LRA system, we report the total amount collected, including the revenue share amount. But then when that amount is deposited in the consolidated, what goes to consolidated is only the government share. Is only the government share. Is only the government share of the revenue.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Commissioner.
Yeah.
Our budget, we are coming. The revenue projections are based on the net figures. Are coming. I'm begging you. Our revenue projections, the budget, the national budget is appropriated based on our net figure. Now, revenue is reporting, LRA is reporting 700, I'm giving an example, $750 million. Ministry of Finance is saying, from what accounted in the general revenue account, is 680 million. To reconcile and know what the third party earns is much easier. With a third party, you have a transitory account. Is revenue sharing either 30-60, 30-70, 60-40. Those accounts, it's easy to reconcile. But from the transitory account between you and the third party, is swept to the general revenue account. In between the transitory account and that the general revenue account, that huge discrepancy. We are asking, it's not consistent. If there's any file being played along with it.
The thing is, it's not really my place, Honorable. You want me to?
Let me step in.
Yeah,
Because
please do.
the Auditor General gave a clear picture
you have your documents of all of the bank transitory agreements. So the Auditor General didn't see them. He didn't take into consideration that these transitory accounts had several components to it that were accounts being shared. Because the question the chairman is going, where he's going is saying, look, you got 900 million, 600 million was transferred. Something going on. 300 million didn't disappear in the air. The Auditor General is speaking about $300 million because he had already looked at all of the agreement with the banks, the commercial banks, for those transitory accounts. And so he's capturing, not capturing, I'm sure the auditors didn't just say go in and capture a figure without knowing what went to the bank charges, or what went to the third party. So I think the question is there something wrong? Because you are saying we'll do a forensic audit to be able to determine that.
The thing is, and let me answer another way. Wrongdoing
Transitory accounts in that revenue account. Again, it's as simple as ABC. What entered into any of the commercial banks accounts are money meant for the Liberian people. Now, the commercial bank saying, I transferred 9 million now to your revenue account. And you been the head of revenue activity. The finance minister is saying all the general revenue is accounting for 6 million. There is not people someone caring to say 108 drop along the way or something. There is not manual system to say they were carrying a check and the check dropped, so maybe someone pick it up. It's a system. They pass the entry, debit, the transitory account and credit your account. And there are discrepancies in between. The Auditor General came in and identified discrepancy in between. We are asking, is it a system failure or system problem or it is something wrong going on? After this next set on my gate, please.
again, Senator, what I can say is that we observe variances and the Auditor General has vindicated those observations and upheld what our suspicions were. All we can say for now, there were those discrepancies. The commercial banks are here that house the transitory accounts. They can speak for themselves. But it's not for me to apportion wrongdoing on anyone's part because I don't have the capability to be able to determine wrongdoing. Not in this instance.
So the question I asked, if money gets missing, if revenue gets missing, goes missing as a head of a revenue authority, is that your concern?
No, I will institute an investigation. And the first step is to request for the auditors to come here and establish the facts. The auditors have established those facts now.
I have the commissioner.
Yeah.
If your salary is 10,000,
Yeah.
and you saw your pay slip net of 7,000, and you went into your bank account and saw 5,000, it's not an issue, right?
No, it is an issue. I will want the banker to tell me why I didn't receive my full money.
And
Yes, but you want me to classify that as wrongdoing. And this is why I'm saying, no, I can't do that. Why I will classify it as I didn't see my full amount. What happened to my money? Let them be the one to answer for themselves.
okay.
So the bank should answer.
Exactly.
So Salamagi coming before go to the bank. Salamagi. Okay, after Salamagi, then we'll go to our female general.
You ask one the question whether I continue for the chair. I think the privilege is very important. But let me establish something for the record of the public. And my question goes to the Auditor General. There have been a whole lot of people flying around. The hearing is established whether money was missing. I want you.
Yes, Salamagi. Salamagi.
Yeah.
Any questions to the general operation?
Okay, my question is to the Auditor General. I want to know what is the actual variance or variances that we are talking about here. How much money is, whether discrepancy or missing, how much is it?
And Salamagi reported before us.
No,
Salamagi reported before us.
Mr. Chair,
They reported before us.
for the public to know.
Yeah, the Auditor General did a presentation.
Mr. Auditor General, can you please restate for the public? What is it we are talking about? Just for the public information.
Yeah, Salamagi, the chairman sees that question. Please. Let me direct to the witness. The Auditor General was clear and presented his reports. Before us, there are summaries to questions on the Auditor General report. So we are not here to ask the Auditor General, we are here to,
Mr. Chair,
you are denied. You are denied. Senator
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and distinguished colleagues. My concerns has to do with the
microphone.
I hope it is.
Use the other one.
Oh, okay. So this audit covers. Hello?
Yeah.
Senator
Yeah, use that one.
This audit covers a period beginning 2018 to 2024. And as we saw the presentation, these discrepancies in the amounts from the various accounts are spread over the same period. So one of my concerns is, did they have to take that number of years for people in positions that are responsible to follow these government and banking transactions to ensure that if they are as such, it can be curtailed in a relatively short period of time? Why do they have to take this long? That's my first question to, I think LRA can answer that. Is there anyone who was there before 2024?
No, I think this question should go to the past minister. There's a minister, Minister Tua. There is a concern by the senator. During your term, there were discrepancies between you and the LRA. To follow up on a question, during your term as the finance minister, did you observe in any time that the revenue figures and that of the expenditure figures in the general revenue account were never the same?
Thank you.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for this opportunity, which can provide a lot of clarity to the Liberian people and education to them as well, because they're always at the receiving end of a lot of this information. So this is a good thing I thank the committee. I also thank the auditor for conducting the audit. Specific to your question, there was no revenue audit achieved in our administration. We work with this auditor to standardize the consolidated audit. Before this auditor, all audits of the consolidated account of the Republic were displayed. So nobody could make sense of the country's finances before him. Under the CDC administration, he regularized the consolidated audit and moved from disclaimer to adverse opinion to qualify the people. That was the improvement. Under this auditor, we commissioned an audit of the public debt of the country. We also commissioned an audit of the wage system. So our job as a government was to look at the years and decades of failing systems to see how we make sense out of them. We work in that direction. Specifically on the revenue question, I don't believe I engaged him on the revenue audit. Maybe we have casually talked about it, but I don't believe we were focused on that. What I do know as a Minister of Finance, the battle that I had for this man and the fiscal minister, Samara Wanako, was a daily battle that to pay government salary, this man almost tear my office down. That money is in government revenue account, but it's not, in government transitory account, but it's not being pushed. I think I heard a word from FM, they're not pushing. CBL and LRA are not pushing FM, we're not being salary, they're not money in this. So this was a refrain almost weekly daily basis from the fiscal minister. And
That the answer to my question, Mr. Chairman.
I'm coming to no, so that's the system defect there. If the part of the system was that money was always sitting in the revenue account and not moved. We did not move to a holistic solution to that. So to answer your question, I said we didn't commission. The only way you can do that is commission a broad audit. One of the system issues that we have done is this, what's happening now. We didn't do that. But I must say,
commission an audit before we establish discrepancies in financial transactions.
you have to, yes, you have to.
Aren't there provision for regular reconciliation? Did you do that through your period?
Hold
And
on.
if not, why not?
No.
No. The senator is asking question.
Yeah, I'm asking.
Yeah, so you are here to receive the question, not to tell the whole.
Okay, so sorry. There were weekly, daily reconciliation between LRA and CBL almost hourly. So to answer your question, that was happening. That's not what your question was. The question was, what we are now talking about is say, how do we start these weekly things so that no bank.
That's not my question. My question was whether these discrepancies were observed earlier in 2024. And if they existed, what did you do?
Well, I just answered the question. The discrepancy we are talking about is because of coming from an audit that somebody has to look into.
Are you telling this hearing that without a full audit, you, as the Minister of Finance, cannot establish discrepancies between your transitory accounts and the general revenue accounts?
We will establish delays. The question that I have is that, are all transitory monies resident with the banks taking the consolidated? There could be a yes to that answer and there could be a no. That's why the Commissioner General is telling, let's study the situation. A yes would mean the banks could be delaying, but they are remitting all the monies, in which case, no money could not be accounted for. It's also possible that they may not be remitting all the monies. So it's there. So we need to do the deep dive into the transitory process. Because let me say so as Minister of Finance, no money should leave the transitory account because it is not a government payment account. The government payment account is the consolidated account. No Minister of Finance, no Director or Commissioner General of the LRA has the authority to tell a bank to pay any dime from the transitory account.
So I follow up to that,
Yeah.
Minister Tua. Again, during your term as minister, at any period of time, there was discrepancy between the TAS and that of the consolidated account.
I mean,
Let me be clear. Did any time revenue authority reported a figure that the consolidated account were different?
No. Listen. Let's understand. Let's understand discrepancy. When we say there is a discrepancy between one thing and another, let's say the transitory account, when we look into our records and see that $100 million was in a transitory account, our expectation is that the entirety of that $100 million, maybe accepting the fees that the banks can take up from there, should go to the consolidated account. That is the expectation. When we go to investigate, as the auditor finding, that of the 100 million that should have gone to the consolidated, he is reporting he does not see maybe 40 million, he sees 50, and so he's saying, what happened to the 45 to 40 million? That's a question that your committee now is seizing on to look into. Two things are possible. For me, I believe all the government payment systems have complete information to answer that question. We have the data, we have the transaction. We're able to answer the question. Meaning?
So the question, the follow-up question.
Yeah.
Who's the head for government fiscal policy?
The head for government payment, Minister of Finance.
So, come on. No, I didn't want to do a follow-up. So you can ask the question.
Mr. Chairman, so my follow-up is transitory accounts, as the name clearly depicts, were established not as an account to host government's revenue, but just to transition through there to get to government's account. And I believe that the MOU between the government and the commercial banks have clearly stated procedures, including timelines. I want to ask, do you acknowledge the delay of monies transitioning from these accounts to the government revenue account as established by the audit? Do you acknowledge that?
My answer to that question is yes, I live that. I'm more than acknowledge. I just said, my trauma was a day's man to meet part salary payroll, was behind me to push the IRA and the central bank so that money can come so you can pay government workers. That was the nightmare I lived. So it's not a question
So I don't understand when you call it a nightmare, when you already know that government money is sitting somewhere that it doesn't belong for over a certain period of time. And so that money is supposed to go to government's account to support issues that you are saying about salary.
Yes.
Why did he allow, or did you ever engage the commercial banks to find out why this failure on their part?
Several times. Several times we engage with banks, we complain that you're not pushing on time.
What does the MOU provide if commercial bank doesn't live up to the terms of the MOU?
Okay, let me say one thing. The government transitory account is complete such that when money is inside, because there is no way to take money out through check, as Minister of Finance go in the system, the money is safe. So my worry is not somebody is taking the money, because nobody is able, I'm Minister of Finance, I can't take money from there, I'm not authorized, so the money is there.
But they also established that monies were taken out of the transitory account.
I don't know that the auditor has said that, so that's part of the conversation we need to find out.
That was presented, right?
The auditor say.
You keep saying more.
No,
I have a right to ask questions.
Okay, I agree,
So you
but
have to answer
the problem
the
is
question.
Excuse me, and Mr. Minister.
Yeah.
The committee call you to answer to query raised by the Auditor General. As deputy of the people, we ask you questions, not you tell us to vote. So he gave the wife a statement and give his senator a chance to propound on issues. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
All of it.
I just want to ask a general question. Have every one of the witnesses read the Auditor General report?
Right.
We need to do that.
Mr. Co-Chair, when we hello,
I can loan you mine.
yeah, please.
No, you won't.
We have plenty here. Mr. Co-Chair, distinguished colleagues of the committee, when we deliver the citations to the witnesses, they were delivered with electronic copies of the Auditor General's report. So that question, the answer to that question is yes. They've all received it. We expect that they've read it, and so there's no excuse. Okay. Thank you.
So, Senator Barbara, the floor is yours.
I think I already asked the question that he was about to answer.
Okay.
Senator.
Thank you. So it was referenced the delayed transmission of government revenue for commercial banks. And my question is, if a commercial bank that has signed an MOU with clauses indicating time frame under which money should leave the account to general revenue account, fail to do that, what is the specific remedy or provision as provided by the MOU signed between the banks and the government? I believe you are a signatory to that MOU also.
As Minister of Finance, any Minister of Finance is a signatory to any account that is open at any commercial bank. But these accounts are not expenditure accounts. Yes, delays were significant in transitory account, as the auditor has observed. I knew that experience. We raised the issue severally, and it became a system thing in the bank and all the stakeholders that showed that improvements would be made. When we push, we see some improvements. When we don't push, it goes back. So if the broader question is, systemically, how do we not arrest that situation? I would say, we should have, in terms of the delays in the procedure we didn't, we're taking it one step at a time, solving other complex problems. But we are here now, as a nation, to understand what has happened in the revenue system. And for me, we must be honest with the Liberian people and be clear to find the answers that we are looking for. Do we say that when we see a discrepancy, it implies that the money was stolen? Or do we say that we can do the reconciliation and find that it was not stolen? That is why the Commissioner General is saying, I can't reach any conclusion. So the banks are sitting here today, I believe after this hearing and after the reform, I think we should implement a 24-hour rule, because the bank should not keep any government money beyond 24 hours. That is the rule in the MOU.
So before Honorable Crystal coming, Mr. Minister, as head for government fiscal policy, and you play a key role in driving the country's development. Being here observing that revenue was delayed in the transitory accounts, and there was discrepancy being transferred from transitory account to the general revenue account. Again, did you observe any discrepancy in transfer to the
Let me clear. Did not observe any discrepancy.
Was there any time there was discrepancy between you and the RFQ?
The relationship between the Ministry of Finance and LRA is that when the national budget is passed, say 800 million should be collected as a standard fee. The Minister of Finance wants to work with the LRA to ensure that he can collect 800 plus. So when you talk about delay and discrepancy, it is in that form that if the Mr. Commissioner General, based on our first quarter analysis, it looks that we may not be able to reach the 100 million. So there are delays, say, let's push. That's the context. But that's not a discrepancy that we are discussing here today. So when you use discrepancy.
So can you put a discrepancy? Can you put a discrepancy of the auditor in the context?
Okay. The discrepancy we are talking about is not necessarily the delay. Because I just said, all the $100 million in the transitory account, if let's assume the transitory account only have 100 million, as the Minister of Finance, it's a matter of delay, but in the end, all the 100 million comes to the consolidated.
Can you please go back that discrepancy?
That's right.
Please.
That's it.
So we wait.
Can you turn on the projector, please?
We wait while he's telling for it and Prince and we'll talk with other questions.
Okay, so.
Thank you, Mr.
So,
Honorable Tour.
Yeah.
Please, I beg you, let me out Chairman. And we know more and more, please.
after Senator Daba.
So that's
Honorable Prince,
it.
Honorable Prince, after that.
So that's it from my end, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Since this has to do with the commercial banks, I would be glad if you could respond to this particular issue, because you must have presented as they have the capacity to deliver on whatever agreement or between you and the government. So while we discussed about following up and taking steps, you also have responsibility to deliver on that 24-hour rule. Can you speak to why the delay over a period of time?
So is there a MD for GDP here? Yeah, please. You can please tell it's a follow-up to this. Yeah, the MD or the executive director, who's the higher position? Okay, then the MD answer. With the MD, no, we can go from back to back. With the MD, please stand here at the ANC. Please stand while answering the committee. The concern by the senator is, Senator, can you please give the question to him and me?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So it has to do with the delayed transition of fundings belonging to the government that should be with your institutions not more than 24 hours as provided by the MOU. You presented your institution as being having the capacity to deliver on every term of the MOU signed by government. Now the audit has established repeatedly, year on year, delay of that part, that transition. So I just wanted to speak to that as to why that happened.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For us at Guarantee Trust Bank, we have consistently adhered to the MOU that we signed. There are institutional or systemic issues that you might entertain in the discharge of that MOU, which needs to be brought out. But generally, from the report that the Auditor General...
Please use the microphone.
Hello? Hello? Mr. Chairman, from the report of the Auditor General, the average number of days is all stated in that report. So consistently, we have done our best to deliver on the sweeps that are agreed. But within that spirit, there are periods within when some systems go down. There are periods within which, between a Friday and a weekend or a long holiday, which you cannot do those sweeps.
So by the Auditor General report, you had an average of 8 days to sweep. Yes. So the 8 days, we took the average between 2018 and 2024. You had 8 days in an average. So you're trying to say through all the year, there was Sunday, Saturday, and holiday throughout the week.
No, Mr. Chairman, which is why the emphasis on the average. It means that there are periods you would have met that obligation, and then there are periods that you would have gone above that, which is why it's taken to the average of the 8 days.
No, so the average is based on what? On what?
No, the average is based on.
Okay, let me this another follow-up. When you
before you go, I want to raise an issue because
we have Senator Popular on the floor.
you get a follow-up.
There's a follow-up.
No.
Yeah.
let me make it clear. The Auditor General is saying an average of 8 days. You have a memorandum of understanding. I have read all the memorandum of understanding with all of the banks. 24 hours. You don't download 5 days, 10 days, 1 day. You got 1 day, 24 hours. Period. Whether there's a holiday, whether there's a weekend, when you receive that money within 24 hours, you receive it. So that issue of average, that is the language you gave in your room and latitude. Also, committee, but I said it's 24 hours.
Yeah, so again, to find an average of the 8 days is to look at the number of days during the audit period and divide by the number of days you sweep to the general revenue account. That was the average. So you delay government revenue account. government revenue. And follow up quickly to you. Where your work stop at the bank when you generate government revenue, when you do the sweeping. It is your responsibility, or are you conscious to make sure that that revenue, that particular money swept, hit the government revenue account?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the starting point of our work is when a taxpayer goes to the LRA and collects a bill. That bill has an identifiable ID or a bill number, which is what is now brought to the bank. So if there were 10 transactions done today on the account of LRA, all those 10 transactions are recorded on the account. So if you were to pull a statement of that payment for the day, you will see each of those payments.
No. The question I'm asking.
I'm building a case.
No, just go directly to it. You, at the end of the day, you have 100 transactions and amounted to $1 million, $1.5 million. You did a transfer to the general revenue account. Are you concerned if that money hit the general revenue account, or once you do the transfer, it is not no longer your business?
When we do the transfer, we are able to tell whether it's delivered or not.
Mm-hmm.
Once it delivers, there are statements that are made available to the LRA to know, because if I started from a balance of 0 and I have 100 million in the account today and I sweep that money, at the end of the day, that balance will be 0. So if LRA goes, from my end, I have swept that money. Now from the LRA end, they need to validate that that balance is now 0. That is their side of it. But once I have swept the money to the central bank, my work ends there.
So are you,
unless there's any subsequent follow-up from there.
Are you concerned that you are performing a function of government by collecting revenue for government?
Mr. Chairman, please repeat the question.
Are you conscious that you are performing a function for government by collecting of revenue?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
So are you also aware that it is your responsibility to ensure what you collected hit the account by having a weekly or monthly reconciliation to ensure that what you collected was remitted to the general revenue account?
Mr. Chairman, each time we do those transfers, there's evidence that is submitted. The statements have been made available online.
Were you contacted by the Auditor General about discrepancy in borrowing again between your constitutional account amount that you swept to the general revenue account? Were you contacted on anything?
Not that I'm aware of. Mr. Chairman, we were contacted to submit statements, which we submitted. We got a report of the auditor on Monday. That was when we got the report.
Okay.
And just to add that, so anytime we sweep the funds, the evidence we have as a bank is that our central bank account is debited.
Okay.
So if I have a 1 billion LRLG in my account and I move 100 million out of my account to government account, I should see a debit on my central bank account by 100 million, which leaves me with the 900 million in my balance. So once I see that, transaction is closed. Everything else is on the statement that is made available to the entity that we are collecting from.
So again, have you identified any maybe system fraud, maybe wire transferring? The question we're asking is based upon the Auditor General report. Again, let me make this simple. There are times you transfer money to a customer account. All the entries are passed. So again, our systems are exposed to internet fraud. Have you noticed that you have been hacked in any time that transactions have been hacked?
Mr. Chairman, there has been no such situation.
Okay. So on the floor.
Yeah, thank you. So thank you so much.
On the floor.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So my question goes to the former Minister of Finance. So it says, right, did you receive monthly reconciliation report for the RA and Central Bank when you administrated? If yes, why were major discrepancies allowed to accumulate from 2018 to 2024? again, I don't understand the question of saying discrepancy allowed. A discrepancy we are talking about today is because we are able to holistically go into a complex system. In fact, he said, the auditor said, you have to use analytics. You believe the transactions are so many, the analytics will come to a direction. I will tell him why that is true for this current investigation. We need to move away from analytics and to find the answers to the question he's asking. Take the transitory account and go line by line. Every individual transaction in the transitory account has an ID number, it can be traced. So let's find the time, let's find the AI and do the deep dive into that account and find the question. So it is only at the end of the period when you do a holistic audit, you come here. The reconciliation between the Ministry of Finance and LRA concerns around Mr. Dobojan, Mr. Thomas Dona, you will collect 800 million. The way we're looking at it, you are looking at 750. We're looking at a 50 million shortfall. We're worried we'll not be able to get salary. So we push. That's it. So that's it.
I'm asking for monthly reconciliation.
So all that reconciliation happens. Have reconciliation to say how much they've collected, how much we expect, how much we have to push more.
And they notice any discrepancy in the report.
The discrepancy is the amount that is supposed to collect and the amount that we are collecting. We are seeing in the consolidated. That is, so you don't call that discrepancy. You say, well, the shortfall. The word we use for it is shortfall, but it's a kind of discrepancy. LRA, you're supposed to collect 800 million. Right now, we're looking at 750. We are worried about 50 million. Don't go get the money. Where is it? Now, that comes to this question. The where is it the auditor is saying is that there may be delays in that 50 million. The reason the 50 million that is because we're not meeting on time. But then we had not conducted the audit. So we're going to all the small systems. So I have to be careful between what the auditor is saying. What he is saying here is that he observed in the transitory account 100 million. The belief is that all 100 million should go to the consolidated. He can only see information that 50 went to the consolidated. So the question he's asking, either LRA or the stakeholders go back into the system and trace the remaining 45 or 50 million and explain why the auditor say he can't see it, which is the reconciliation thing that we have to solve, or the assumption has to be that that 40 million, if we can answer that first question, the assumption has to be that that 40 million was taken out of the system illegally because there is no way money can leave the system outside the minister's consolidated account. So what we're talking about here is somebody taking money from the transitory account, somebody taking money from the tax system, which had not reached to the consolidated. You have to go and deep dive to see whether that actually happened. No, the committee. I mean, the committee now has a responsibility to investigate further whether that is a possibility or whether we're talking about reconciliation issues here.
So, can you ensure finance and guarantee to the public that there no money missing? Can you guarantee that no money missing?
Let me tell you. No, I'm not going to talk about money missing, money not missing. What I can tell the public here today, between the transitory accounts, the tax administration, and the consolidated account, we have a closed system. Nothing can get missing from inside. That is, anything that goes inside, you will find a trace. I'm not worried about the thing that has not gone inside. So when auditors say in the rural area, the rural tax collector collects $500. Let's say he takes $200 and he put it in the system. The $300 he put in the system, I'm telling the auditor in the country today, that $300 that the rural guy record in that system, nobody can take it out except it comes through check signed by the Minister of Finance. The money that goes to
Mr. Minister,
yeah.
Everything that you said, the Auditor General, right, is from within the system. He's not talking from the field. He's talking from within the system.
So I am guaranteeing that
The discrepancy is from within the system.
anything in the system, there can be discrepancy, but you can find the answer to that discrepancy because the data is available in transitory account, the data is available in tax.
Information, Mr. Chairman.
Honorable Chairman, distinguished colleagues and our witnesses. I think there is a serious matter for which we gather stakeholder here. The way the former finance minister is trading is trying to baffle me in the sense that a finance minister who sat over the fiscal affairs of this country, trying to actually slide away from an issue we're talking about discrepancy. When we go to the rural area of tax collection and all of those things, right? That the money that a tax collector for the port of entry or the collectorate put into the bank and it's a receipt that nobody can say, look, we cannot do anything because it's traceable.
That's right.
That money is the money that got into the transitory account.
That's right.
The transitory account with the commercial bank is one aspect. And from that, it goes to the transitory account of the central bank before you go to the general revenue account. It is true.
I mean, they move from the transitory.
The transitory account with this commercial bank
That's right.
under the MOU that the money should be swept for 24 hours. It's quite different for the transitory account with the central bank because the central bank is a mother bank that has its own operation that it goes on. So there's another transitory account created there. Before that, it goes to the general revenue account, which will be the consolidated account. So if 100 million Liberian dollar were collected in XYZ commercial bank, and I should go to the transitory account of the central bank before going to the consolidated account, which we call the general revenue account. If 50 million goes there, then we are talking about we have no access of who or we have no knowledge of who took the balance 50 million out. Why is already in the banks and receipt have been served, LRA receipt have been served and traceable, that validated because the auditor conducted the information, they have the documentary evidence that informed the decision on which they expressed their opinion. So I just want us to be careful here as people deputy and meeting our people who serve this country. This public hearing is being machined, but nobody has been indicted of any other things. It's just to explain to the public that this is what the Auditor General report said. So the due process that people always talk about is what we exercise here today. Giving you the opportunity. You will have the stewardship, while the people are having the custodian, all these things. So it's when you have the stewardship under the audit period, I understand explain to the public, and we are asking the people that we need to get clarity to the people like you. So please.
Thank you. Your information sustained. Again, and quickly we will add the other journal to put that information that will why.
Why are you doing that?
Yes, please, no. Keep it quiet. Please, help us read it for us.
Yeah, so
The discrepancy between the transitory.
So the figures are there, segmented on an annual basis, but the total is, we observe that $1.4 billion. No, sorry, this is. Yeah, so this is it. $617 million recorded in the transitory account. Total transaction for the period, $526 million. In the GRA that we observed were not recorded in the transitory account, resulting into a variance of until $1 billion. Let me try and provide some clarity around the figure.
Okay.
The first thing I want to establish is that timing in remittances cannot be the result of that variance.
Okay.
Because we did a post audit. We did the audit in 2025. That means that variance was not as a result of the commercial banks delaying in remitting the money. What are the possibilities? There are several possibilities, and you cannot point to one as a single possibility, but there are several risks. Risk number one can be that the money was put in the transitory account, but it was not subsequently remitted into the consolidated accounts. By one. Risk number two could be the money was put in a transitory account. It was placed in an account that appeared to be the consolidated account, but it was not the consolidated account. That is a risk. And if that happens, you see here, we got another finding that says unauthorized withdrawal. You will not pick up it under this, because in the transitory account, it will create a semblance as if that money was remitted into a consolidated account, but it did not have been remitted. Again, it's not a fact. It is just a risk. It's just a possibility. A forensic audit may establish those possibilities. Why am I emphasizing that it's a possibility? We get reports, if you go to other findings, we reported that there were some mobile money or bank statements that were not provided to us. Again, this is another possibility, that there were some of the consolidated account financial statements or bank statements that were not provided to us, which some of these monies went into. But because they were not provided to us to form part of the analytics that we ran, then that will contribute to the variance. So these are the three key risks.
So we can get back.
Yeah, these are the three possible risks.
No, we go back to.
Yeah, we back.
Okay.
So very Minister Dwyer. So the Auditor General has given a duty of observations. Again, there are a few years that under your stewardship up to 2023. And up to 2023, there was a variance of 20 million, 17 million, 24 million, 21, 29, 7. Yeah, 29, yeah, I think 29, 17. No, the 26 is 2024. The 6 is 2024. Again, as Prime Minister, the transitory account that now he has made more explicit is not a transitory account of the commercial bank. Right?
No, these are the commercial banks.
Okay.
And the general revenue.
Yeah. Again, with this discrepancy, is that figure like maybe 10,000, 50,000? During your stewardship, did you observe any of the discrepancy?
How can we answer that question? The question would be, you are here today because you have done a comprehensive systemic audit.
Who are working with system account? Who are working with system? Who are controlling the system? The system that he audited, who are controlling the system?
Minister of Finance,
Yes, that's what we are asking you now.
Well, so we did not do any audit. That's right, we did several audits, and main audits that we did here.
So
revenue audit was now more than we commissioned. If we had commissioned this audit in 2018, 2009, this man and myself worked with a lot of audits. If this audit had to be done 2019, this conversation we're having here today would have been had in 2019. We're having the benefit of hindsight to look into the system. We took the system as an article of faith. That one, monies in transitory account can never be taken from there. I just said that. So when you see 20 million discrepancy, the two conclusions we have to fight for, which is why I say the committee has to see. Are you implying that if 20 million is now remitted from transitory to consolidated, that the 20 million was stolen? Is that the conclusion you're reaching?
No.
Okay. Are you implying, hold on, are you implying that 20 million, hold on, are you implying, hold on, it's not, hold on, it's not, Chief, hold on, it's not an order to you. It's just my flow thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, to kind of go back to a logic. Yeah, but it's not an instruction to you. Yeah, it's a harmless thing, you know. So that's correct that I'm order you. So that 20 million that we're talking about here can likely be illegally taken. I will never put my leg on the line for that. I'm just theoretically telling the Liberian people that the only way money can move from government account is on the Minister of Finance signature to the consolidated account.
And as Minister of Finance for 6 years, I signed no document for money to leave the transitory account. So as far as I'm concerned, any money that was in the transitory account, if it didn't move to the consolidated account, it's still there. The data is there. We can go back to Joseph Jimmy Router and find the unit transaction and trace it into that bank, whether that Echo Bank, that GT Bank, that UBA, it will be there. That's why I'm saying let the reconciliation process continue. The auditor has done an excellent job in asking hard questions that we didn't ask. He's now saying he's observing discrepancy between transitory and consolidated. The question for us to ask is that, are these discrepancies the product of theft, corruption, somebody taking the money and carrying it illegally outside the government payment system in a way that it should not be done? Or can these discrepancies be explained by the experts and say, no, what you could likely call theft is not theft. This money that came in here is that's the question.
Before we close on this, will this discrepancy identified by the Auditor General in 2025 is a post financial audit in this post financial audit? Meaning that when there any time we notice there was a shortage of revenue of cash in the consolidated account.
No, listen, if I notice that a commercial bank had $10 million for me, that it didn't remake that $10 million last year, I will be the first man. I'm the commercial bank. I will run behind them for that money. I don't know that.
The question I still yet to get the answer from you. Yeah. Money that hit the transitory accounts are recorded in the revenue. I mean, in the PAS. Right?
That's right. Yes, that's right. Right? Yeah.
So if this amount didn't hit the general revenue account, there will be a difference between the TAS, the financial, year-end reports to that of the consolidated account reports. Is that correct?
No, that be let's understand. The reports that the LRA, I told you, and the Ministry of Finance are preparing on it. The LRA has $800 million revenue to collect for the year, which you started with. I need to spend $800 million when they collect it. At the end of the year, we go and reconcile whether they had a shortfall or they had a surplus. That report that says, of the $800 million the legislature said we should collect, we collected $850 million, Mr. Minister. That's a $50 million surplus. Or of the $800 million they said we should collect, we're not able to reach that. We collected $650 million, then we have a shortfall. That is the reconciliation. It's different from this.
Mr. Chairman,
it's different.
Can I call the witness to order?
Yeah. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, we are talking about an audit report before us. And these questions are asked to Mr. Toye specific. We have answered these questions over and over and over. So there's no need for us to pound on him with this particular issue. So I think we should move on.
No, guys, Senator Finney.
Yeah.
Senator Finney, I come in. This issue is on the meat in this audit report. I come in there.
And he's not the only one that's supposed to answer this question.
No, he was the head of the fiscal activity in this country. No, I come in now. Hold on. You listen to me now. Minister Toye, again, you have never answered the question asked to you. This is not a projection. Again, no, this is not a projection. You have to be clear to me.
I agree.
Money that hit the accounts, the treasury accounts, are money record.
The bank is collecting money as we go.
But you close the account at the end of every period, right? After December 31st, you close all of the accounts, right? You close all of the accounts. And RA is telling you, see, by our TAS, not the by the TAS, we generated 850 million. And you tell RA, what hit our account was 820 million or 10 million. There is a 20 million between commercial bank, and you say that to say it is not possible to identify it. Mr. Toye, you have to come and tell something serious. No, you have to come. Come in. You have to come. It's 20 million, 17 million. They are in line year by year.
The question we need to get at It's not that the 20 million is not a discrepancy. That's not a debate. The debate is
That's what you've been talking about. No, Mr.
That issue.
That is what you've been talking about.
No.
You were not giving her a chance. That's what you've been talking about. You've been baffling all along on the issue of the discrepancy. And you bring in the issue of projection. You're talking about the House of Representatives projected 800 million and 820 million. It's not what we're talking about. We're talking about actual money that hit the bank. And that drove you along. That's the accountability. You had the stewardship or the fiscal affairs in this country. I can't see people talking about. Then you're talking about projection, not projection. We're talking about.
Is that translate?
You're not trying to. So you talking about 800 million now projected 820 million. Then you will be talking about recasting or even complementing the budget. That was a quite different issue. We are not concluding. You are buffering. You want to be straight to the point. No, you are buffering. You got to be straight to the point.
Are you
Yeah, come here. Honorable Kuka. Senator Kuka.
Mr. Presiding Police and our witness, let me extend my thanks and appreciation to you all for this interaction. And this interaction is very significant to each and every one of us as Liberians, because through revenue generation enables the country to be developed and the human resource capacity in such a way.
Order here, please. Order here. Mr. Assistant Minister, please go to your seat.
So, by the way, I'm somewhere down Vancouver, Senator of Liberia County, member of the PAC committee. I want to quickly tell this everybody that the essence of our sitting here is not to mention any individual. But we need a best practice in this country that will help our society to progress as compared to other countries in our surrounding. So I said our questions should be directed to a particular individual or institutions that's supposed to answer the question. I'm saying they will say that I would like to have a concern with the GAC, and I want them to please address this issue. According to
Our witness.
Hold on, they are our technician. You can't ask them. You ask the witnesses. You ask the witnesses, you don't ask the technician. Any concern you had, you had time to ask, or you had the time to ask. You go meet you.
But because the issue of discrepancy that they mentioned, we got to be crystal clear on grounds that you got 3 financial institutions that these finances are lingering in between. The LRA, the commercial banks, the central bank, as well as the financial, so are 4 institutions. When these monies are collected by LRA and perhaps received by any other commercial bank, we are trying to find out whether any of those monies stop on the highway within those institutions. And if so, the GSC should be able to be crystal clear and say this money was paid by this institution, but it stopped at this particular bank.
Order.
Order.
I call my colleague to order that.
Look, the Auditor General report is our witness. And the question is that he have recognized, and not only recognized, but have clearly systematic problems in the system. And I think my colleagues should be focusing on the other side. Who should be answering the question?
So I want
to the senator for further clarity, the PFM law requires the head of the institution as the accounting officer. So Minister Tuwe being the head of the fiscal section of our country is the accounting officer for every financial transactions in this country during stewardship. So this is why we are asking more questions and we need more answers from him.
To the witness, former Minister of Finance and the team.
So you have the floor now to ask the questions.
There are the questions I'm about to ask.
Yeah.
Minister, did you ever receive a formal communication from the GSC identifying queries that today we are here? Did you ever receive any communication as such?
No.
Yes.
No, Senator Boga. You are not here to ask the witness. You are not here to provide answers to the witness. If the witness had issues with the other report, you are really saying that he's tired to answer questions. So you're not asking issues that will bring up back that he was not given the time. It's clear. The witness has started to answer questions to the other report. So if GSC gave him communication, the Ministry of Finance gave him communication, it's not a question. There are issues raised in the other report. Let's go directly to the issues.
Well, I know you are like to have two moderators. So every year I want to get a move. Back to my discussion. I may not ask question further except otherwise.
So you can use the stick back.
No, I agree. However, I would like to sound this clearly. As Senator of Lima County, and I can be accountable for that the issue of the audit that we carry out, the current government should be fully cognizant of the facts that we have also sanctioned, we are also ready, and those will have a specific time in the period of year that they are covered to be audited. So those of you that want to do now, nobody will feel that anybody will want to anybody will be transparent and consistent and insist and persistent to ensure that accountability prevail in this country. The laissez-faire attitude is getting too much.
Thank you, Senator.
President to derail.
You concluding?
Thank you, Senator. Honorable Rumi Kuya. You were
close as a president.
Thank you, Michelle. My question goes to former Prime Minister Tuwe. Honorable Minister, my question has to do with the MOU between the commercial banks and governments. Every MOU that is entered into has terms and conditions. So, are you familiar with MOU between the government and commercial banks? If yes, what is the penalty for delay or redundant remittances? And then during your tenure, do you see any shortfall within the 24-hour time period? And if it happens, what do you do? Do you recognize what was said? You take that time.
I think so. Maybe.
Please use the microphone.
Thank you for the question. I did answer that. We observe the release in monies from transitory accounts to consolidated accounts. So we did make these observations. And we did across the banks, lead the banks to say why you are not pushing government. The banks of the country are partner to the Ministry of Finance and the government. So we had a lot of discussions with them. Yeah, we owe them money, we gathered the frameworks with them. So we try to push them to do that. It was in that context that we operated. If there is a delay, the reconciliation committee moves, we recognize, we push, and that's how.
So there's no punishment for reluctance?
Most of the MOUs, the MOU is such that it started a long time when we took over. We inherited a lot of these MOUs. I don't think there's any penalty to say if the bank doesn't remake in 24 hours, it will get fined. I've not seen that. That was not the spirit of the framework we operate on. So we observe the delay, we leave the bank, push them, we rectify it, and we continue to move on. That's correct. The question that we were originally discussing that is leading to some confusion that has to be clarified is that the reconciliation of the transitory account and the consolidated account that we have in here today has never shown up in the reconciliation of our revenue account. I have a reconciliation before you. NRA and Mutual Fund can start with Central Bank all the year-end transmitters of revenue, and we balance these books. It doesn't show this kind of thing. This kind of thing only shows when you go to one bank and look at 1,000 transactions that came and want to follow whether all 1,000 hit the consolidated bank account. The auditor is saying of the 1,000 that he sees in a bank transaction, he's believing 50% hits the consolidated account, or 75%.
You are not a spokesman for the auditor.
No, I'm not a spokesman.
You are not a spokesman. Don't say the auditor believing.
Well,
We're asking you questions that will form part of our opinion. Don't answer for the auditor general. Answer directly from the observations that is there.
Honorable Senator?
I hope to be saying that.
Yeah, Honorable, the auditor report is available to everybody to the country.
Very good.
What I don't want the Liberian people to take away, and I don't believe the committee is trying to work towards that, is to believe that when the Auditor General says 20 million discrepancy, that the conclusion from that is that the 20 million was stolen. I don't believe that's what the auditor is saying. I don't believe that's what the report is saying. I believe the report says I cannot find answer for 20 million. But I am saying as former Minister of Finance, the answer for that 20 million is there. That's what I'm saying here to the public today. Don't draw a conclusion that 20 million is stolen or is missing. Minister Toye is saying the answer for that auditor's question between the NRA, the Ministry of Finance, the Central Bank, and the Commercial Bank, the answer is there.
So our former Finance Minister, this is what we give you, this was someone like
No, I'm telling you, I can stay here and give you the answer. When you take the commercial bank data, let's take EcoBank. If this committee went to EcoBank from 2018 and take all transactions, you can sequence and see whether EcoBank remitted all that money to the consolidated. Simple.
Yeah, observation.
I think we should not be going back and forth. We ask a question, we call our witnesses, we have a question, they'll give you an opportunity to answer the question, rather than going for 1 minute and a half.
Observation sustained.
I come in, the Auditor General is very, very clear. There is a discrepancy between the tax account and the general revenue account. The Finance Minister earlier in his pronouncement, he said there were no discrepancy. But he has concluded, yes, there's a discrepancy. And he has made the Auditor General able to pick those discrepancies and he has outlined them. I think the burden is on the Ministry of Finance, LRA, and the Central Bank.
The Commercial Bank.
The Commercial Bank, the four of them to see why those money that were collected in the transitory account did not hit the general revenue account. That's our concern. Because he had done a perfect job. And that job is telling us, yes, there is this discrepancy from this time to this time. How can we find your invitation here is to help us as lawmakers to say, yes, if it is there, go back to the people that you work with. So while the journal, along with GSC, these discrepancies are there. How do we point out to these discrepancies, where it came from, so that we make progress? That's why we continue to ask one question after another.
Observation sustained.
Information.
Observation sustained. Observation denied.
Information.
Observation denied. And Honorable Jackson.
Information.
I'll get to you, Mr. Chairman. Our name. Yeah, spoke of additional charges by the banking institutions. He spoke of unexplained charges. And I'd like the banking institution, any one of them, can answer to that query. Please do.
No. Chairman? So,
you got a question?
Honorable Assembly?
Yeah.
Senator Assembly? It will be precise to which institution you want to.
No, so he spoke of the banking. He said that unexplained charges with these transitory accounts and additional charges. So I'd like to know what were those charges and any one of the banks can answer because all of them I think are appropriate.
Yeah. So can I expand on his question because?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I think I would like to follow through with him and question him through my question out there. He got a trend that I'm trying to follow for the commercial banks. The Auditor General is clear that there was some unauthorized withdrawals, including school fees or tuition fees. The commercial government of Liberia can imagine what is happening to the citizens and their clients. So it's a major, major concern for me. And I think the banks need to be able to address that. Commercial banks must address that because that is being reflected in the Auditor's General report in this audit. And I think that's the concern that he has. One, unauthorized withdrawal, unauthorized charges, when you have specific charges in your agreement, your transitory agreement that you have with the government. So if you have to pay $30, why are you taking extra money? So maybe the banks can look into that. One of the things, Mr. Chairman of Police, I am here basically to listen. Because my decision will come in the committee room when we sit there to decide the way forward. In addition to that, Mr. Chairman, I don't want to take up too much time. I also have a concern with the central bank and also commercial bank, because both of them share in this report this matter, this issue. Reversal, millions of dollars being reversed. Why? Why? How did that reversal come about? You got my money in your transitory, that one thing the central bank will deal with. You got my money. It's only a transitory thing. Why are you reversing? Send it to where it's supposed to go. That's the agreement you have with LRA and government, like the Minister of Finance. You, central bank, you're supposed to receive my money. Now you're reversing. Did you get authority to reverse from the Minister of Finance? Maybe the Auditor General will have to, not the Auditor General, but the Controller General might have to answer those questions. These are concerns that I want to know. When I go into that committee room, we've dealt with a transitory issue. These are major concerns in this Auditor General report that I want us to highlight, that I would like to have some response from. Minister Tuwe probably can discuss that too. I want to see the present Controller General, I see the former Controller General, okay, he's not here, but the present Controller General is here.
I'd like to get some answers to this question. The central bank is here, commercial bank is here. The LRA, I'm not going to, because I chair the committee on revenue, so I will not deal with that. I'll let my colleagues deal with that. So this is my concern. One, and I think with Senator Sibley is unauthorized withdrawal. Unexplained, or it was one from the commercial banks. Two, additional fees. I don't know if you have additional fees because you have an account that was open and you're supposed to receive in your contract X amount of dollars. So we're going to look into that. That's also another issue. Then reversal. Why are you central bank reversing? Why are you commercial banks reversing from government funds? So, Mr. Chairman, I can start with the Controller General.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the powerful committee. Let me just start first. Please let me get a little bit technical in a very simple manner, and to further explain what the Minister has tried to elaborate on. Maybe you can get it from this context.
Mr. Controller General. Wait. I'm not interested in what Minister Tuwe said.
Okay, fine. So let me.
I have a very specific issue,
fine.
so I need to go to that. Please.
So let me start with an example. Some 3-4 months ago, we have a policy or we have a system of monitoring the transitory accounts daily, including that of the consolidated accounts, all of the major consolidated accounts under the TSA structure, the transitory treasury receivable account. So when we went to the system by like 10, we saw 10 billion. 10 billion. Where is it? 10 billion. Where is it coming from? Both as a credit.
LRD?
And no, into the US account.
Huh?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So,
come again.
We saw 10 billion posted or credited to the account. And then we knew that there was an error. Because the budget said, I said, you reached that amount. So, within an hour or two, the reversal was done. Now, the human factor of this whole thing has to do with people sitting and manually entering receipts. And that was not overlooked that. And that's why I wanted to start from the beginning before coming in. But what we don't have on the books is procedure. Because there's interagency transaction procedure governing reversal policy. Because if CDL has her own policy with reversal, it will not coincide with that of the Division of Finance and that of the LRA. But indeed, they went and did the correction, which was right. And they posted the $1,000 that should have been posted as credit in terms of the proper amount charged to the US dollars account. So that's one thing that leads to reversal because of misposting. LD going to Liberian dollars, Liberian dollar going to US dollar, and it's very common because of the human intervention. So please give me a little chance. Let me dissect the whole transitory account.
Yeah, you are given the time.
Yeah, please. Let me just come with some of the rest of this. The treasurers, the TAS, the tax administration system, that take the math a little bit, is equal to the consolidated account plus vendor share plus balances in the transitory account equal TAS. So there will always be different. When consolidated accounts receive the revenue on the net, the TAS receives the revenue on the gross. The vendor share comes in at the transitory and the commercial bank where we have other institutions performing services for government. And based on the MOU, the commercial bank goes and effect those MOUs and then transfer the money to wheresoever it is. So that's not all of the debits that will be leaving the transitory accounts will hit the consolidated accounts. So let's get that in mind. So with the gross,
in effect, the 24-hour window is too short.
yeah, no, sir, we come to the time management. The time management.
Yeah.
To that. I'm not going to speak for the commercial banks. I'm just trying to bring about the difference. So when you add all of these at the end of the day, and you see that TS is a consolidated account that should be more. So because our constant following of the reconciliation we're doing daily, and that led us, and I kept being behind the minister of finance, look, we have to look into it. This is not real. Because we have luckily all of the banks are giving us visibility. So at the end of the day, I can tell you before the end of the day how much are in the banks in terms of balances and reasons why they are not stressful and we ask them. So once we see that the amount is growing, the bank you are not sweeping, then we get to even find out why are you not sweeping? And give us the reason. Some of them will say, well, maybe system problem, or maybe we have connectivity and all those stuff. So I just thought to lay that premise and then to move ahead and to answer your question. Somebody regrets to come up because of this machine to this posting at a favor interest level. And he says that LRA and Commissioner General don't have control of what is posted at the middle collective level and who enters into that. So you talk about the tackling of the staff, the skills, the experience of the staff that enter it. And once they get the GAS, then it becomes another issue. The validation of that figure will actually be seen through as we go through. So once you do your monthly and quarterly reconciliation, you will see one. So this August value, to be on a more serious note, we have to pay attention to the single systems. Because if you are, unless the banks, and what the Auditor General said, unless there are other accounts that are not into the tally, into the inventory of the transitory accounts, because I make sure that we have inventory of transitory accounts at various banks, share that along with the LRA. In fact, we don't even open a transitory account unless the data comes from the LRA. To the Minister of Finance and then through the controller of the accounting general to open those accounts. So there's a complete inventory that we share with our developing partners. So unless there are issues that we don't know of, for which we need to further investigate.
Chairman, I have a question.
Thank you.
No, you don't have the floor. Absolutely.
Yeah, so I want to hear from the central bank on this matter.
I will give you one example and I will focus on some of the requests that we do at the central bank. So, for example, at the end of the fiscal year, the government, the Ministry of Finance, will instruct the central bank to say, close these revenue accounts.
Please use the microphone.
And open a new revenue account for the next fiscal year.
Please use the microphone. Okay. You just have to dress
Alright, so as I was saying, I will focus my response on the reversal that is doing the level of central bank. Yeah, I wanted to give one example. At the end of the fiscal year, the Ministry of Finance will instruct the central bank to say, close these revenue accounts and open new accounts for the next fiscal year. When we open those accounts, the accounts are provided to the commercial bank to say, these are the new accounts going forward for you to be able to process all accounts collected for the transitory accounts intended for the corporate revenue accounts. In our process, some of the banks rather than posting to the new accounts or sending the money to the new account, we will actually send it to the CEO account. And we see that most of the time. So we realize that we have to be able to remove it from the old accounts and process it to the new accounts. The details that were provided to us by the Auditor General in our review of those that the review requests, those are the kind of reviews. These are actual revenue accounts, but we are just reclassifying them from the old account to the new accounts. You see the details of that, you will provide evidence of that. They are actual revenue accounts. So it's actual revenue collected. So they're reclassified.
So we were the question here, the follow-up question. How the system is built that if you close an account that is still permit in transactions to enter.
Yes, just yet to be processed within the 3 months. It's a standard practice. So within that same 3 month period, a commercial bank will make an error to say we try to send.
No, yeah, after 3 months.
After 3 months, then we automatically close.
So no transaction.
There will be no transactions.
Mr. Chairman, I'm done here. Yeah. I need to hear from the commercial bank. You can volunteer to handle this matter.
So UBA.
Let us get some understanding. I mean, it's not. We're not here to antagonize anybody. Basically, we're looking for facts and evidence and understanding. That's what I'm looking for. And audit report.
My editor has actually answered what constitutes process. Those are the
Please use the microphone well.
I'm using the microphone. So that normally happens at the beginning of the year where there are concerns about account inputs and account input and people posting make mistakes. And actually also just like the Conservative spoke, errors do happen and they have the same thing. Now there was a question the other speaker asked about where they charges, and those charges are basically around SMS charges, $20 charge, and then of course internet banking. So those are things that if you look at the period, because time is a factor, we looked at 7 years period. So you calculate everything over 7 years, it's going to be as high as what you see. But the question is, those services are used by the LRA. For example, if GAC asks for statements, I will provide statements, is a service, we charge for it. So those are the things you see in those charges. You see, I'm sure if the executive will look at it, and then of course this will be also. I think those are the issues that happen. Human errors happen, yes, and then they are corrected, and then there's really, that's all it's all about. Thank you.
What about the unauthorized? I'm going back to the audit report. What about the unauthorized withdrawals? The account is for government Liberia, and there's unauthorized withdrawal from some of the accounts, transitory accounts. Do you have instruction to withdraw? To make withdrawals?
Based on agreements, just like the Contractor has spoken, and also the central bank. Basically, there's some remedy. I mean, there's some reductions that we say, okay, pay LTA, pay LAC, this amount. So based on the collection from transfer account, that's from. But for any other transaction, I can confirm to that nobody will make the direct debit to the transfer account. That should not happen. But however, basis of, because this report is general, we don't have the fact of the details. When we get the details, then those must have done that. It should not happen.
I'm going to give chance to the general. I just need to conclude on this one. You have a memorandum of understanding with LRA and the Minister of Finance. In your understanding, the ones I have read, I think I have 15 or 16 of those, I don't see anywhere where you're supposed to make any payment outside of the consolidated account. So if you are receiving instruction, okay, I'll pause. I yield, Chairman.
Yeah, inquiry.
Yeah, okay, inquiry, Honorable.
Okay, thank you, sir. I just want to know which official of government, whether class or person, has direct responsibility for ensuring that the revenue collected move from transitory account to our general revenue account. Which of our official in the finance responsible for that?
Cash management is a direct function of the control of the accounting bureau, supervised by the Minister of Finance.
So that this question will be directed to the former control general. So they monitor all transactions daily and monthly that took place between the general revenue account and the transfer account.
Honorable Trump, we brought that question. Honorable Corner, you get a question?
The main one you carry a gavel now.
Honorable Corner.
The coach check and tell them get a gavel.
Making your food just skill.
Yeah, well, thank you. Oh, this is not what
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Let me start first by thanking all of you, my colleagues, for your presence, and to thank all of our witnesses for responding to our call. This is impressive. I want to thank the Auditor General for undertaking this audit. You know, the Auditor General talked about discrepancy, and I think we've focused on that quite a bit. The audit explicitly talk about that. That is the issue, reconciliation issue. But in the reconciliation process, it is possible that money was missing. That is why we are here to establish that. If indeed that is the case or not, to educate the public about this audit report. Because the Ministry of Finance, the Liberia Revenue Authority, and the Central Bank of Liberia held a press conference when this audit report was released. So the public heard $1.7 billion figure missing. We are under obligation as the committee responsible for all public money in the Republic of Liberia to educate the public, but at the same time to understand the issues and then suggest recommendations based on the Auditor General's report to the President of Liberia for implementation. That's how it works. So that is why I joined the chair when he acknowledged the Commissioner General. This is not yet a Justice Ministry or a LA, and I think we should respect our law, that it is this legislature that receives the Auditor General's report, read the report. We have a whole secretariat that does that for us, and then bring all the auditees in one room to understand the issues that the Auditor General is facing. Mr. Chair, I wanted to make that clear.
Thank you.
Having said that, I want to start with the banks, because it's important for the public to know that our banks are credible. Bringing them here is not to scandalize them, but we have about 9 banks that are mentioned in the audit report. My colleagues have asked about the timing and all of that. Echo Bank, according to the Auditor General, is the one with the biggest lapse time, 24 days. You are our biggest bank in Liberia. We are concerned about you holding transitory accounts and taking almost a month to relate and then work with the government to do the reconciliation. The committee would like to understand why. It's not just you. I can go down the line. Bloom, Global, 21 days. UBA, 10 days. IB, 9. SRBL, 8. Afriland, 8. GT, 8. LBDR, 4. Access Bank, 3. Mr. Commissioner General, Mr. Comptroller General, which bank among the 9 banks that we have in the audit report holds the largest transitory account for us?
It is Echo Bank.
Echo Bank. So, Madam MD for Echo Bank, will you please come in? Why is it taking 24 days for you to remake government money that we need to fund government operations?
Thank you, Honorable Chairman and members of the committee. For the period under review, 2018 to 2024, the bank moved from manual transactions to digital transactions. So from 2019 to 2024, the credentials were given to NRA to do the daily sweep of the funds. After the new commissioner came in 2024, he requested that that stops and that the bank starts doing the daily sweep. I think today we are sweeping on a daily basis the funds that we receive. Even though the challenges and the costs related to that daily operation is high, but we are doing it. LRA and the Commissioner General Accountant are here to confirm that. Thank you.
Okay, so you are telling this committee on all that you have improved from the 24 days to the 24-hour daily sweep?
Yes.
Thank you. Bloom Bank. It's taking you 21 days. Why?
Can somebody borrow something?
Okay. Honorable Chairman and members of the committee, thank you for this hearing. So for Blue Bank, I need to take you back history. The report shows global banks from Blue Bank. When we took over 2023, we inherited an outstanding of I think 148,000 that could not be processed simply because the account at the central bank was not funded. So the way our TGS work, your account must be funded at the central bank. 2, you must have connectivity. Those 2 issues were an issue at the previous month, which we were able to resolve. And as 2023, I had a meeting with the former controller, and I actually wrote to the LRA, informing them that certain circumstances will not be able to honor this obligation now. That I'm assuring them as the bank progresses, we will do that. 23rd of I think March 2024, after the rebranding of the bank, we actually moved $363,000, which was the arrears and what we were able to collect. But going forward, I can assure you that we sweep every day now. What we have there was the backlog of the S1 bank that we took over. So today, if you check the report, I'm sure you'll find out that we sweep every day and it's automated. Automated both to LRA, automated to the central bank. We also have a system whereby the controller just said we online access to be able to monitor the account. And at the same time, to LRA have the access to control the account. So it's historical, and that is something that is in the past now.
follow up to that question. Thank you for that. So you transition from one bank to a new bank. That's what you're telling us. And because of that, there were backlogs in terms of government money that resided with the old bank that you acquired, but you've been able to transmit that. Can you tell us on oath that no dollar of Liberian money stay with you?
On that oath, I'm telling you authoritatively that we remitted everything, including the royalty of 135,000 based on the acquisition. Everything paid. But there's something here, maybe aside.
Yeah.
I also have not the auditor to have included that some bank never took charges. Maybe this is an opportunity now for me to retroactively check the government in their laws.
No. That's not the committee's fault. That one is for ways and means. That's for the Ways and Means Committee. They can call the hearing for that, but we just want to make sure that we did not keep any of our money. I want to ask the same question to Echo Bank because of the 24-hour period. I know she answered, but during the period under review, because of the 24-hour period, did for any reason did Echo Bank not remit GOL money that sat in the transitory account that you owed for the GOL into a consolidated account?
No, sir. And even if we do not remit on a daily basis, as they said at the end of the year, all these accounts balances are swept to the central bank account and the accounts are closed. So, as we speak today, unless the systems are down, everything that was collected yesterday is already swept to the central bank account.
All right, good. Let me go to IB quickly. It takes you, according to the audit report, for the period under review that we are talking here, from 2018 to 2024, about 9 days to move money from the transfer account into the government account at the central bank. Do you care to tell us why 9 days and what you have done, that the police have done to correct that situation? I want today that when we leave from this chamber, the public knows that our banking system is working. That is why I'm asking each bank, because you are under oath, to assure this committee and the public at large that you can be trusted with money.
Thank you, I can assure you that IB has been sleeping within the 24-hour period. The only glitches sometimes can be system issues. If we have a disconnection between the central bank and IB, then we have issues. But apart from that, up to today, we sleep within 24 hours.
And you don't have a dime of government money sitting with you?
Before 2 o'clock.
Okay.
CBL, our friends.
I've heard about system issue from Echo Bank and also from ID Bank, and it seems like that is a problem. Can you tell us why we have these intermittent systems issues that can lead to delays in the sweep process? And what are you doing, or what have you done to correct it?
So there could be two issues. With the system failure from banks that we cannot handle, or the system that we are using, which is the RTGS for this student. Now, if it is the RTGS,
this is on all of the radio stations. Just explain what that is.
Okay. So the RTGS is the real-time gross settlement systems, okay, which is our code in banks, locally. So commercial banks under the MOU are required to remit their funds using the RTGS. That's a live value payment system. We also have another system called the ACH and the ACP. The automated clearing systems, which is also used to make something about that. Those are small payments. Okay? But the RTGS primarily is used between banks, central bank, and the commercial bank to remit government funds that are deposited in the constituent account. There are times whereby the RTGS is down, and that's part of the system issue they were talking about, whereby the commercial bank will not be able to remit the funds. So those instances are not every day, but sometimes it can be as a result of, issues where the RTGS is down, and you have to call the provider to be able to provide support to fix the problem. Oftentimes we have to do some issues.
If it is a problem, are you considering another system?
Well, Senator.
So that we have reliable connectivity between you and a commercial bank.
Let me say, we are currently working on upgrading the system. But even when you talk about upgrading the system, I want to admit that there is no perfect system. I mean, there are times you're going to have some problem with the system. So you just have to work on it. That can cause some delay in the meeting.
Okay, so I'm going from the extreme delay in the report to the lowest. And I will start with Access Bank. The audit says that it took you 3 days, so you must have been doing something better than the rest of the banks. Access Bank, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, can you tell us, even though the 3 days still is not 24 hours, but you did better during this period? So tell the committee what are you doing at your bank to achieve the 3 days?
Thank you. All right, at Access Bank, the one thing we do, I am the Chief Operating Officer, and I am fully responsible for that account, where doing authorizations for all the transactions. So we do daily reconciliation. So at the end of every day, we also just know the balances on this account every day, and then sweeping to the central bank. And every morning also, we follow up with the transactions. Oh, sorry, the needed transactions have already been executed. So it's something we keep our eye on, but it's not still perfect. Through our daily monitoring, we ensure that we sweep within the time of API challenges. We are also in touch with the ARA. They ask us to always send an email if we have any technical challenges to notify them their email.
I'm not trying to beat on anybody, but what I'm hearing is quality customer service. You take this account seriously and you focus on it. The COO make sure that it's treated well. Let me go to our own bank, LBDI. You're part of the group that is within the 3 to 4 day window. This is the Liberian bank among all of the commercial banks we have in the country. Do you get to tell us your experience with the whole transitory accounting and why it's costing you less amount of time with this?
Thank you, Senator. So as to why LBDI takes 4 days as compared to the other banks that do in 8, 21, 24 days. Most things in life is relative. Until I heard that another bank was doing 8 days, another bank was doing 21 days, 24 days, I thought my standard was bad, 4 days. But as to the specifics of what we're doing to achieve the 4 days, we should still, if you were to look at the standards set by the MOU that we all signed to, 24 hours. If I ask you the question right now, it's just a rhetorical question. Who came in second at the 100 meters dash at the most recent Olympics? Nobody knows. It's only the person who came first, if you remember. So while 4 days might sound commendable, but the fact remains that it's also a 24-hour schedule that we all signed to. So one of the reasons why there's been delays in the street have been mentioned ad nauseam by the other banks as to why the delays are there. And we are constantly looking to make progress towards improving on these numbers. So while 4 days might sound like a wonderful achievement, but they're still beyond the schedule that we signed for. And we're committed to improving it.
So, are you doing 24 hours now, like the other banks have done?
Refer to the controller who's our responsibility.
Yes, please. 24 hours is the rule based on the MOU that you all signed with the government. That's what we want. Are you doing that now?
Yes, currently we are doing 24 hours, and I can speak to the issue that I sit here. Every year to have a sense for governance, because what this audit report has revealed, LBR even before the report came out. Before this audit report, the LBR management alone held our detailed reconciliation. We have a window period to ensure that whatever government was paid, and we had a stop period so after the payment before we started meeting the government again. So every year I've actually gone detailed and granular and message that this thing that happened today. So for the pre-session committee with this committee, ratify that reconciliation report before the onset of time.
Okay, thank you very much. I would like to have an official from the LRA, or former official who was there at that time. That's you, Mr. Commissioner General. And I think Mr. Montgomery is not here. But I see our sister Deconti here. And she is an expert on this whole TAS system. I used to be Minister of Finance at some point when we worked together. She played a pivotal role in putting that system together. And I'm not drawing any conclusion in my questioning, because we will, after this, the committee is going to go into a retreat for all of the other reports to be able to understand the issues. But then I think you can help us here, please. I want to ask you about, the Auditor General says that there are discrepancies, okay, between the transfer account, the consolidated, and also the tax system. And I think in the Commissioner General's presentation, he did talk about unique identifier in terms of tax receipt. So, can you tell the public how and why do identical receipt numbers carry different amounts across the system, tax system? The customer, the Commissioner General said the customer can answer that. Yes, Mr. Samoa, can you answer that question for educational purposes?
Thank you, Senator. There are actually no differences in receipts, receipt duplication as it is indicated in the Auditor General's report. I think it was just a bit of misunderstanding, which we along the line provide the clarification. So the system that we're using was built by UNTAC. It's a system that is used across most of the customer administrations across Africa. The receipt system goes in a way that it restarts counting based on the calendar. Effective January 1, it starts to issue new receipts. So there are two identifiers. Even though the number may look the same, but if you read the two identifiers, one is the year and the second is the office. Custom offices are spread across the country, beginning from Logatuo to Plibo or Pedibo, Ganta, Freeport, RIA. That is one identifier. Second identifier is the year. So you may find that if the system automatically restarts counting receipt numbers as of January 1, you will find Senator Amara Kone, just using for example, say that you are a collectorate, Senator Amara Kone, 2027-001. You will also find Senator Amara Kone, 2025-001. Senator Finley, 2026. Sorry, Chair. You'll also find Senator Finley, 2026-001. But what makes it different? Senator Arakone, the names are different, the offices are different. Senator Finley is a different office. Then the year attributed to Senator Finley is also different. So even if you put those numbers appear to be the same, 001, 002, 003. It is those two offices that make a difference. So no receipts can be duplicated in the system. Absolutely.
Did you provide this in your response to
we did, but apparently it may have been late to be. It's clearly documented from 2019 till now.
Okay.
So even if we went through the system, nobody can prove that any receipt is duplicated in that system. It's impossible. It's impractical.
Okay. Mr. CG, Commissioner General, what happens to rural cash collections? How much revenue moved to, collectors over 6 years, and how confident are you that all of it reached the general revenue account?
So, thank you for that question, Mr. Senator. The findings of the Auditor General are on point. The situation that we inherited was exactly as the Auditor General established in his report. That is factual. In fact, that was a challenge that we needed to find a quick solution to. The systems in the leeward counties, because of our infrastructure development challenges, we could not have internet access in those locations. And all of our systems are internet-based. The Litas is internet-based, the Asakuda is internet-based. So without internet connectivity, without electricity in those locations, it was difficult in the past, if not nearly impossible, to roll these systems out in those places. So the collections at that time was manual. So our collectors, whether they were tax collectors or custom collectors.
During the audit period?
Yes,
okay.
During the audit period. So they will have to collect the money manually. And then, in fact, during the rainy season, when the road gets back, it will take weeks before Sonana will put it in backpack and go on motorcycle to come to a place that has a bank. This was the inherent challenge that Liberia faced. Luckily, in 2024, we managed to get money. Yeah, we managed to get money in 2024 from one of our development partner funded projects, and we got 50 Starlink devices. So we are beginning to roll those out now so that those challenging areas, whether it's Toad Town, whether it's Lugar 2, whether it's in Harper, all these places now have connectivity. In fact, we've gone one step forward because you can get a Starlink, but the next challenge is electricity.
Yes.
So we have deliberately started rolling out solar solutions. We realized that using fossil fuel generators could prove to be inefficient in the long term because servicing of generators, maintaining of generators is a difficulty if you're in a place like Toad Town, and we don't want to disrupt internet connectivity. So the resources that we've been getting, this is what we've been using them on to ensure that we deploy solar panels, solar systems that power these connectivity devices. We started our rollout in 2025, and the hope is that by the end of this year, all of our points of operation outside of Monrovia will be fully connected digitally. And a lot of the manual things will be a thing of the past. It's already a thing of the past in many of our major locations. What we did due to resource constraints, and we can't do everything at the same time, we started prioritizing different ports and custom business offices based on the volume of revenue we are generating from those places. So we've done it considerably. Like I said, before the end of this year, all of our points outside of Monrovia will have electricity, we'll also have internet connectivity. So those problems will be things of the past.
Thank you, Mr. Ivy. Before I go to my next witness, you heard the banks. They acknowledge the issues during the audit period, and they are telling us on the whole that they are meeting the 24-hour. Can you confirm that?
Yes. I confirm that the banks are cooperating now. Most of the clearing, the sweeping as it's called, is done within a 24-hour period. There are times, however, when there are delays. And the mechanisms we are putting in place right now is that Senator and honorable members of this committee, when there is a delay in a sweep, as my phone starts buzzing from the Controller and Accounting General, and also from a reconciliation team. So, and then we engage directly. Many of the MDs here will tell you I've actually flagged issues with them because we call their line technicians. And once it's not resolved, we elevate it directly to the MD. In fact, just as a test case, one of the commercial banks here had erroneously posted another customer's deposit in one of the transitory accounts. And then they needed a reversal. To get that reversal, they needed Ministry of LRA's approval. And I know that a delay because we're busy with other things, traveling and all of that. And I received a call with a plea that we need to do this because it's a problem for their customer. So this is just to tell you how the system is working now, that even with erroneous posting, it is not just automatically reversed.
Thank you very much. Now I want to go to the former team. Mr. Minister, former Minister, based on the Auditor General's presentation, based on the report that you had the opportunity to read, based on what you have heard from your colleagues currently on the job that you and your colleagues did 2.5 years ago, based on what you've heard from the banks, Mr. Minister, are you there? Yeah. On the oath of this committee and the Liberian people, do you believe that money is missing?
Senator, very important question.
Let me, before you answer, the Auditor General says that $257.5 million US entered government bank accounts but did not reach the treasury. Before discussing systems or processes, we need a straightforward answer to that particular observation. Do you believe that that money, $257.5 million, was missing?
So that's a very important question of this hearing and for the Liberian people. When the Auditor General says 257 million did not reach the consolidated account, there is a temptation to conclude that 257 million is missing or is stolen. This hearing is purposely called to dig into that issue. And I'm happy the way you are proceeding, because where we are now, the commercial banks have said under oath, none of them have backlog money for the government during the audit period. They're all sitting here. So that's under oath. I have said here, no money can leave the government payment system without the minister's signature, because that's the door for the money to come outside. So TAS, Assekura, or transitory account, the only legal way to get money is through government checks to be consolidated.
Okay.
So theoretically, it's not possible for money to leave. Banks say they pay all money. Well, the auditor is still saying, and it's a very important question, he cannot see the trades. So it brings us to the question, what do we do then with all these? The current team is also trying to explain some of the challenges. How do we resolve this cost? For me,
I want this committee to.
I think I will not tell you.
Because this is not the end of this conversation. I mean, let everybody know the way we work here. We do these hearings. And it's important, Mr. Chair, to let people know that the delay in public hearings on audit reports from our side was due to many factors, which we have corrected internally. We have resumed, and we may call witnesses based on the Auditor General, additional information from the Auditor General. After all of this, we are going to meet and then write a report for our colleagues based on the findings and your testimonies. You know, where we find malfeasance, we'll recommend appropriate action. Where we find, you know, a compliance issue, the Auditor General will draw up post-audit compliance work with the current team, and we'll go from there. So, Mr. Minister, another question before I yield to the chairman. The Auditor General also observed that 373.9 million gap, there's a 373.9 million gap between the LRA collections and the Treasury receipts. You know, so I want you to tell us, the committee, I've been in your shoes before. You gotta raise money from all over the world and domestically to fund the budget. Sometimes you are not here, you all over the place. I'm not making excuses for you. So who was watching the system for you, you know, when you were there? Because this amount, the gap between LRA collection and the Treasury receipt, is a big amount, 373.9 million, you know, to go unnoticed. Yeah. Who was minding your shop on this particular Treasury thing? Was it the Comptroller General? Was it the Fiscal Minister? Just educate us a bit. How did your shop operate?
The reconciliation system was behind that shop. There were weekly reconciliation with government within a year. But I don't think that weekly reconciliation, I have copies on shelf committee, which we sign at the end of the year and show balancing. We now review this kind of thing that the auditor report has now reviewed. So that's one piece of the puzzle. The other piece is that if we consider 300 million as money, which means that the banks are not telling true, then a serious question. If that 300 million is not money and the banks are correct, and that there are reconciliation errors, then it's less serious. So your committee, right, is to really answer this question. Because the burden on me now, if it is true that that 300 million is actual money that did not hit the consolidated account, and that I, Minister of Finance, did not authorize through the consolidated, because it didn't go through the consolidated, so I can't authorize any payment, and that it left in the system, and that there's not money to go be collected today for this government review. That's a consequential question for the banks, for us as former government officials, for the current government, to have 320 million sitting somewhere to be spent. That's when I can finish 30%, 40% of the country's roads today. So your committee deliberation is critical. When you go to conclusion, listen, the way this 300 million is looking like is all a bunch of just data reconciliation things that really, yeah, we think the auditor, he picked that up, but it's not hard money. These monies, all these monies were accounted for. We can follow the trades. If that is your committee's report, then there's less burden on me for your questions of who was watching. But the system itself took care of itself. Okay. But if that is not your committee's conclusion, and that money actually is busy, and that the banks here are lying on the oath, and that the Auditor General is correct, then the ramifications are greater. Yeah.
My final question to the former Minister, Mr. Chair. Okay, reversals during your time. The Auditor General observed $53.6 million in revenue that was reversed with no traceable original transaction in the audit report. The committee will need the names, the dates, and the documentation of those who authorized the reversal to be able to establish that the reversals were reconciliation related. Are you willing to do that? Can we give you time to be able to go through the audit report and the time period and give us some information on the reversals.
Almost said that. I'm telling you, yeah. As Minister of Finance, at no time did I authorize any payment out of the trust. Yeah, you know the question of authority.
So not payment, but reversals.
No, what I'm saying, there is nothing the Minister of Finance can do to authorize payment, any
Out of the transfer account, I know that.
That's
Yeah.
correct. It's not
Yeah.
possible. So
Yeah.
no record like
When
that.
reversals are made, we listen to the Comptroller General. He talked about,
But let me
he
say,
educated us on that.
let me say,
But the window, just 1 minute. So the time period we're talking here, there were several reversals. The Auditor General is saying, he's not saying it was stolen or anything, and we're not accusing anybody. He is saying that more than $50 million in reversals were made, that he cannot see any documentation for who authorized it and who did it, and so on and so forth. That's a serious question.
it's a serious question.
Yeah.
Because the MOUs say there should be no unauthorized withdrawal.
Correct.
But it recognized this reversal thing. Some of the MOUs I've read. It says that if the bank reverses, they must notify the reconciliation team of LRA within 3 days.
Correct. The MOUs are here, we've read it.
That's correct. So what has to happen from the committee now is when you look at those reversals and the banks that did them.
These are keep letter in the
Hold on,
committee. You know what
Okay, sorry. Okay, so in other
I'm just asking you the
Yeah.
question. Did you authorize any reversal?
No,
Okay.
nothing.
To the banks, I'm back to you again. Yes.
Just follow up on your question. The question posed to the minister was to submit to us, the community, name of people that were managing the windows during those periods. And all we are asking for you, those who are responsible to manage, the reversal. You had a team that were responsible to do reconciliation, are responsible to do the reconciliation. So all we are asking from you, submit the names and the time.
Thank you.
No, but there's an important point you're raising.
Okay.
The Commissioner General of the LRA will have that responsibility because the MOU say.
No, but Minister, you can't tell me how to ask my question.
No, I mean,
it's my question I'm posing.
I agree.
Just to make a follow up.
No, as the Minister of Finance is not the one who's answering that question. That's what I'm saying. When you read the MOU, it says within 3 days, when a reversal happens or an unexplained withdrawal happens in the transitory account, the LRA reconciliation chief should be notified and he should notify the government because they have the visibility on these accounts, not the Minister of Finance.
Thank you, and thank you for the follow-up on Okana. So you are telling us you did not authorize any reversal during this period?
No.
To the banks, the reversals that the Auditor General has observed, more than $15 million, not to one bank. This is the collection of you all. When you do reversal, just one person can answer this for us. When you do reversals in the transitory accounts that you hold, what do you do to inform the government? Yes, EcoBank.
EcoBank, yes. What we do for us, we don't reverse without having the approval of LRA to reverse the transactions.
Thank you.
We do it private.
So the minister, no, I'm coming. The minister talk about LRA, so which brings me to the LRA. No, you can ask.
Yeah, thank you. When did you start that policy? Is it something that recent or for the
During the audit period?
Yeah, during the audit period of 2018 to 2024.
I will let them one respond.
Honorable Senator, with regards to your question, since we started doing the collection way back, that policy was in place. We always request for approval.
Thank you.
I think the commissioner didn't mention that.
Thank you very much. So with all the commercial banks, you don't do any reversal without authorization from the LRA. That's what we're hearing? All right. LRA.
Who are you?
Afriland, yes.
Yeah, there is sometimes
Will use the microphone.
the system can have automatic withdrawal debit in their account for the charges, for example. It can be reversed in terms of positive.
For vendor charges?
No.
What charges?
The monthly charges.
Okay,
yes,
for the account.
Yes, automatically sometimes.
Yeah, but that's understandable. The statement will show that we're talking about reversal, we're talking about 50 plus million, that's a lot of money. We're trying to understand that because I'm not talking about $20 fees and so on and so forth over a period. So I mean, so that we don't drag this issue for a long time. I started with the minister. The minister rightly said that LRA, based on the MOU, the banks have confirmed that. LRA, what this committee will need is to look in your system to furnish us with the information on the $50+ million reversal during the last regime, who authorized it, the names, and so on and so forth. We already know that the process, data should be there on the reversal. They have to ask the Auditor General to share with the committee the specific reversals. Chairman Gao will communicate with LRA to give us the information on the reversal. Is that okay, or you want to say something?
Yeah, I want to say something because I wanted us to look at the time periods.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted us to look at the time periods. So I just attested to the fact that I gave one example of the experience where a commercial bank was calling me because they needed authorization to reverse an erroneous posting. So from the time we implemented this new MOU, and since then up to this point and going forward, I got reasonable assurance that there will be no subsequent withdrawals without prior approval or the prior documentation. Prior reversals. Now, let's look at 2024. The reason that made us, let's look at 2024. And part of the reason that caused us to request through the finance minister for GSC to come and look into the system was exactly because of this observation. That in 2024, I took over in that was one of the main drivers.
You know,
I took over in March of 2024. And from March to December 31st, which is a period covered under this audit report, I observed that there were transitory accounts that had reversals that LRA knew absolutely nothing about.
During your time?
During my time. From March, between March 1st, 2024 to December 31st, 2024. So we can provide that. What the committee is asking me for, I can go back and ask my team from January 1, for the period before December 31st, 2024, we can be able to pull as much information as we can gather regarding whether LRA was giving prior approval for any reversals. But no, in 2024, my experience is that there were a number of transitory accounts that had reversals that LRA knew absolutely nothing about.
So our banks is not off the hook yet, based on the response from the LRA. Secretariat, you will draft the letter under the chairman's signature so that we can get to the bottom of it. But this is why the audit was commissioned. Let's get to the bottom of that. Mr. Chair, thank you for the opportunity and thanks to all of you for answering my question.
We want to say thank you, Senator Colin. I think all of the query in the audit report has been exhausted. Only one observation that is not directly within the audit report that I want to ask the commercial bank. I will start with CBL. CBL, in the last 1 year or 2 years, have you observed, maybe being notified in a commercial bank, that there was an unknown withdrawal or a new debit to the consolidated account and a credit to a personal account.
That question is not clear, but
I have a question. Have you noticed that an individual, maybe one of those technicians who managing the consolidated account, transfer money from the consolidated account to a commercial bank account? Maybe, for example, I'm managing an account, parent account, and you have a personal account with her. Maybe I debited the consolidated account, I want to credit the account.
in the past 1 year though.
In the past 2 years.
In the past 2 years, before I was appointed, there was an investigation, and that investigation is still ongoing about movement of a fund from the consolidated account to the commercial bank. One transaction. I think it was with the amount of yeah.
How much?
How much amount?
Something, but it failed.
Please, we want to get the exact information.
Yeah, so I told you in the past 1 year ago.
No, in the past 2 years.
In the past 2 years, that's why I said before I took over, there's an investigation currently ongoing.
In the form of how much?
And I would need to provide that
Who
information.
done the bank?
It was intended for IB, it was
Madam CEO from IB, was there any field transaction, any attempt to withdraw money from the consolidated account to a private account using your name? Please use the microphone, please. Is there any ongoing investigation that you're aware of?
Well, I can attest that there was a transfer into a personal account, but it was rejected by us and sent back to the central bank.
In the term of how much?
Close to $1 million. Jesus.
Okay. Let the chairman of the Park of the Senate say, this hearing does not conclude the committee investigation into this. What? I keep asking this question about the discrepancy between the transitory account and that of the general revenue account. As state stands to be corrected, but from the explanation between the TAS, the transitory account, and the general revenue account, is difficulty to find discrepancy. As state stands to be corrected. If there's a money transferred from a commercial bank account, and the commercial bank says for every time they transfer money, their account is debited. And then general revenue account don't receive it. And the auditor general says there's a discrepancy between those two to warrant thorough investigation. Again, we are Liberian, we are privileged to be sitting at the high table leading people. We hear information the same way you are privileged to hear information. We deal with information from all sectors. There was a transactions involving few employees. Few employees from the central bank, the RIA. So when we come to this hearing, we should be able to identify that these discrepancies were as a result of people having this issue, maybe withdrawn from their account, that we were able to arrest some, they are investigated, but no one was able to disclose it yet. No one at all were able to disclose it. And you want to open and say that there was nothing happening, it was just system error. If there were one transactions just identified of close to $1 million, imagine those one that was now caught. So again, I will stop here. The commercial banks, before you come in here, the commercial banks, we will disaggregate these amount from the transitory account discrepancy. We want to know each commercial bank. We want to know commercial bank by commercial bank. And then we'll still call you back to answer to the auditor queries in deeper than what it is. With this revelation, it has given a clear picture that we can assume. So the 5% that they were there. The 25% could be assumption and system error, but 75% there was fraud, there was huge and treatment of the consolidated account. So CBL, the commercial bank, the LRA, and Mr. Former Minister of Finance and former Controller will say thank you for coming. But the committee you review on the oath. Why? Yeah, you can report anytime. Yeah. You can report anytime. We're not going to take you for no oath. You remember where you go, we can call you anytime.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you have a press statement, do the press. Anything said to the press concerning this subject, will you say against you?
So this is coming.
No, yes.
We
What's that press
asking
statement on you?
No.
I mean, you have a president program, you are a person on you. So I want to say thank you for coming. Again, from this.
The chair will beg you, please take us
No, they don't talk about it yet.
will beg you. Don't keep us on an oath.
We will work along with the
We're gonna live normal lives.
The FIA, this has brought revelation. The FIA will be one of our major technicians on this investigation. Again, we want to say, on this note, we end the question and answer, and we go to closing statement from Senator Collins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and colleagues. Before I start with my closing statement, Mr. Chair and colleagues, if we need your approval, this is new information to me. This whole attempt to move $1 million from government accounts into personal accounts and the commercial bank started. Mr. Chair, do I have the I would like to propose to the committee in the presence of the witnesses that, Mr. Chair, you write IB to furnish you the details of that transaction. And then we put our Auditor General to work. This audit is not over. With that, I want to say thank you for coming. Thank you for coming.
Information, sir.
Yeah.
My information is that the central bank governor said that we're investigating, so you should also write.
Correct. Yeah. All those that need to be Yeah. Thank you.
It's sustained.
Very good. Thank you for coming. Thank you for responding to our questions. The whole idea for this audit is to fix the system. The transitory account relationship between the government and the commercial bank did not start with the CDC government. It started long before that. These findings are serious findings. It just tells us that we need to do more work. The public may be wondering about the work of the 55th Legislature's Joint Public Accounts Committee. I am pleased to report on behalf of my colleagues that the first round of audit reports that we concluded back in 2024 have been approved. We went through the process of transcribing all of your testimonies, comparing your responses to the Auditor General's observations, making modifications where necessary within the law, within what you said, and presented the facts to our colleagues in both chambers. We voted on that consolidated report, and I can report to the Liberian people that the 12 audit reports that we covered during that period is now with the President of Liberia for implementation. Among the implementation are restitution in some cases, prosecution in some cases, but it's now in the hands of the President, and we look forward to working with him on that. But an important point to emphasize on behalf of the committee is that the Auditor General has introduced a new regime. So we're not just highlighting issues, but we're also working with institutions to improve the system. It's called the post-audit engagement. I encourage all of you, those who are in office now, there's a reason we brought you. Sometimes when people hear about audit, the thing is to scandalize them politically. For me, I can't speak for everyone, but for me, and I think I can say the same thing for all of us. So we'll bring you here, if you are the current official, we want you to know that you will be here someday. So it's better to learn from the other people's mistakes and fix the system that benefits the Liberian people. That's the whole idea. So on this audit report today, the Auditor General has issued the most severe audit opinion available under international standards with this report. On the 6 years of Liberia government tax revenue system, it was so severe that it caused the Minister of Finance, the Central Bank Governor, and the Commissioner General of the LRA to hold a serious press conference to inform the Liberian people that they were taking proactive measures to try to understand all of this, which included getting the President to authorize the Ministry of Justice to look into this from the legal standpoint, and also the LACC to start looking at alleged corruption practices in the report, and to also bring in an independent firm to work with them on this. This was a press conference, I'm not making this up. So we applaud them for that, but we want them to know that the legal process from the Constitution to the law, the GSC, is to go through the legislature. So that it's a statutory issue. So the reason why this audit is important is that it covers a period when Liberia received international budget support, signed new concession agreements, and assured development partners of improved public financial management. The audit says something different. It says the pipes carrying the public money were broken. The pipes were broken. And when the pipes are broken in your house, then the water will leak. You have to fix it. That's why we're here. So the total amount that cannot be accounted for, traced, or reconciled across the system reviewed runs into the hundreds of millions of dollars. The gross unmatched position between the tax administration system and the general revenue account alone exceed 1 billion. This is serious. That is why when the audit was issued, cumulatively, again, everybody talked about it. It was a big issue. I received text messages from colleagues in government. Well, you can talk about this now. No, we have an established process to look into this type of issue. So this is money that entered one system and did not appear in the other system. And nobody could detect it at that time to fix it. So we thank you, Mr. Inspector General, we thank you, Mr. Controller General and team, that you are taking proactive measures to fix the pipe. Liberia, what the Auditor General actually found, because the presentation was quick, was a summary, I'll go quickly. 1, 257.5 million collected in government bank accounts never reached the national treasury. It came in, it did not arrive, no explanation exists. That's what he's actually saying. Then 2, $165.8 million sitting in the national treasury has no traceable source in any government collection account. Money appeared with no record of origin. Again, the pipe is broken. 3, the net gap between the tax administration system and the treasury is 373.9 million over 6 years. This is the difference between what the LRA says it collected and what the treasury or the consolidated account says it's received. 4, the custom system and the tax system disagree by $63.9 million on the same transactions. That's the Auditor General's observation. 5, the same receipt numbers appear in 2 different government systems with different amounts attached. This cannot happen accidentally. That's the view of the committee. That's why we sent for you to understand this. 6, $53.6 million in revenue reversals were posted with no traceable original transaction. No record of what was reversed, no record of who authorized it. That triggered the LRA and the Finance Ministry to ask the Auditor General to do this report. That was the driver for fixing the broken pipe. So we need to get to the bottom of the source, and then we can go from there. So you will get a letter from our chairman to give us all the information on that. That is why we are keeping you on the oath, because that information must be accurate. Number 7, credits of $301,220 and Liberian dollars 67.3 million appeared in government transitory accounts with no explanation and no traceable source. That's what the Auditor General report is telling us. Number 8, not one commercial bank during the period complied with the 24-hour legal requirement to sweep government revenue to the Treasury. Average delays range from 3 to 24 days. No bank was ever penalized for not observing the MOU. Sympathy in our system. We feel sorry too much for each other. Nobody wants to be the bad guy or be called Prime Minister, so on and so forth. You slide and the system suffers. Number 9, in rural areas, tax collectors operate entirely off-system during this period. They take cash, hold it personally, and deposit it in bulk with no individual transaction records. There's no way to know what was collected, held, or deposited. We are happy as a committee to hear the current IG saying that he's automating that process so that we don't come back here again 3 years from now, then we start to do other reports, then people make it political, then the systems, the system get confused and Liberians don't get the benefit. Because everything here is political, Then, number 10, the Ministry of Finance, the Revenue Authority, and the Central Bank, based on what we have heard, have no agreed framework for reconciling government revenue. Reconciliation is a problem. That is the Auditor General's observation. Finally, Colleagues, my question is going to the Commissioner General and the current Minister of Finance, who is represented by the CAG, correct? CAG?
Right.
Yes. Yeah, I'm closing now. I was just trying to let the Liberian people know why we're here today, the issues. Some people say, oh, they stole money. I cannot sway people's opinion, but I also wanted to use my closing statement to educate, to inform, to give you the facts of what was in the other report. Mr. Minister, Mr. Commissioner General, please let this committee know on an ongoing basis the work you are doing with the commercial bank and the central bank on reconciliation. Please don't let us do another year, 3 or maybe 8 years from now, and we'll cancel out over the same issue again. We're not talking about task force. We're not talking about anything. We want real actual solution to this committee, communicated to us, from you to us. We're not going to request for it, we're asking for it now. Send us your framework on this reconciliation issue. You, MFDP, CBL, commercial bank, to say, PAC, this is the framework we have in place to solve this, to fix this broken part. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for the opportunity to close on behalf of our colleagues. Thank you.
We want to say thank you to the distinguished Senator Abdul, having just get out of our today's business. Motion for adjournment.
So moved.
And now, by the PAC Secretary, please.
I would like to say many thanks to all of you for following the Liberian Senate official Facebook page here. This is how we conclude this joint public account committee hearing here, folks. I'd like to appreciate all of you. J. Cassius Abem, my name, from the Liberian Senate Press and Public Affairs Department.
Us, his mother and father, Christine and Elmore. We've just had an opportunity to meet with District Attorney Angel McElgrath and some members of her team. We had a very respectful meeting. The thing I assume some of you may know, the thing to announce, she shared with the family that there will be a grand jury that she will turn this case over to once they have collected all the information and finished their investigation. We also agreed that we will have a mutual inspection of the cell phone with our experts and their experts. Attorney Eric Hertz is helping lead the investigation team with former law enforcement experts who are going to help us with the cell phone download. So everybody will be able to see at the same time what the cell phone has. We also talked about trying to make sure we dot every I and cross every T. I know that we're getting about 50 calls a day to 100 calls a day from people who were there on Horn Island, people who are familiar with individuals that were there on Horn Island. And so we continue to be steadfast in trying to get to the truth of why Nolan Wells is dead. At this time, we'll have Attorney Hertz